Hi, my name's Mark Pack. I'm editor of Liberal Democrat Newswire, and in this, the latest of my explainer videos, I'm going to talk a little bit about why in the Liberal Democrats we put so much emphasis on signing up voters to postal votes. The reason is very simple. If somebody has a postal vote, it means that they get sent a ballot paper through the post, arrives on their doormat, literal or metaphorical doormat. And as a result, because they've been pushed to have a ballot paper almost placed in their hands, they're much more likely to vote than someone who has to remember to go and vote in person on polling day. Certainly going to vote in person isn't a massive burden for most people, but that little bit extra ease of having the ballot paper sort of fall almost literally into your lap makes people much more likely to vote if they have a postal vote. We've seen this in all sorts of different elections, perhaps most strikingly in the very first police and crime commissioner elections, where people who didn't have a postal vote, just under 1 in 10 of them actually voted, whilst for people who did have a postal vote, voting was up in nearly around half of them voting. Massive difference. Slightly smaller difference between postal voters and non-postal voters at elections where overall turnout is higher than it was in that dire set of first elected police and crime commissioner elections. But for example, the 2015 election, amongst people with a postal vote, turnout was 1/3 higher than amongst those without a postal vote. And one thing we know from both our own experience and academic research and the analysis of people like the Electoral Commission is that it's not simply that people who are more likely to vote sign up for a postal vote. The very act of getting someone to switch to a postal vote makes them more likely to vote at election time. So really important to get as many of our supporters as possible over to postal votes, because then they're not just a supporter of ours, but they're a supporter of ours who casts a vote at election time. So it's a relatively straightforward way of making our election performance a lot better. If more of our supporters have postal votes, more of them vote, we do better when all the votes add up. When doing it, it's really important to make sure that we follow the Electoral Commission's Code of Conduct, because there definitely have been, unfortunately, cases in the past where people have abused postal votes to try and swindle other people out of the free expression of their choice. So the Electoral Commission has a Code of Conduct that the party has signed up to. I'll put a link to it in the notes to this video. And in fact, the Liberal Democrat rules say that if you break that Electoral Commission Code of Conduct, that can be grounds for kicking you out of the party. And quite rightly so. Make sure, therefore, you know what's what with the Electoral Commission's Code of Conduct. But what it says is nothing too arduous or unusual or unreasonable. It basically says make sure when we're signing up to postal votes that people know what they're signing up for, understand what they're doing, and they're doing it of their own free will. All pretty sensible things. And of course, as I said at the beginning, great thing is if we get people signed up to postal votes, more of them vote. That means more votes for Liberal Democrats and things that we believe in the ballot box, and therefore better election results for us all round. So, hope you found this useful. If you've got any suggestions for future videos or any questions about anything I've said in this video, please do pop up a comment or drop me a message, and thanks very much for listening.